Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's episode of The Formula, where we break down and explore the elements of achievement in world-class performers. I'm your host, Trevor Carlson. This week's guest is none other than musician from Rotterdam, Holland, Nick, and I'm going to butcher your last name, Nick, because I don't have an awesome Dutch accent, Lubbersen, also known as Moods. Me and Nick have an interesting story where we met actually after he performed at the Flyover Festival in Iowa City, and I was introduced to him by Amanda Lesmeister and Simeon Talley right after he performed. I ended up giving him a ride to the airport, and we had a couple hours to chat and get to know each other. I checked him out on Spotify afterwards and realized that this guy was doing awesome stuff. He's making some really good music. We have a really good conversation about what his creative process is like and where the inspiration from a lot of his music comes from. So I will tee it up for my friend, Nick, also known as Moods.
My name is Nick. I go by the name of Moods as an artist. I've been making music for 15 years already, so it's been going good. I'm working on an album, and just good stuff is coming.
That's awesome. How long have you been into the music scene for?
I started making hip hop music, and then I got into electronic music a little bit later. So I think I'm in electronic music for 7 years now. So yeah, that's mainly the scene where I'm focusing on right now.
Yeah, and you're located out of Rotterdam, Holland, right?
Yes, yeah. I moved here to study arts, and then I kept on living here because I really enjoy it here. It's really great.
Yeah, is it as fun as Amsterdam, or is it like this second sister city to the type of stuff that goes on over there?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really it's not similar at all. Amsterdam is a totally different city. I love Amsterdam, but Rotterdam is more modern, I guess, and that also has to do with the Second World War because the city was bombed, so they had to rebuild all like big parts of it.
Hmm.
So it's modern, and I feel like the people are more forward thinking here as well. So I guess to live here, it's for me it's better.
Yeah. You and I have an interesting story about how we met. You were in Iowa City, putting on a performance at
Yeah.
the Flyover Festival, and I got a random text from the organizer to go pick you up, and take you to the airport a couple hours away. And I was like, all right, you know what, my friend needs a hand, so I'm gonna do this. And then we spent the next couple hours in the car just just bullshitting about pretty much everything under the sun. And then
Yeah.
I remember when I dropped you off at the airport, I was like, "Hey man, good luck with your music career," because I didn't really know anything about Moods or anything like that. And then like as I'm driving away, I pull up Spotify on my phone. I pull up Moods, and I'm like, "Oh shit, this guy's got like 8 million streams on Spotify already." I'm like, all right." So he's already well
Yeah,
on his
man.
way.
Yeah, so I was playing in Iowa, and Simeon, the one who booked me, I asked him like, is there someone who can drop me off again at the airport, because the airport is, I think, like a 2-3 hour drive.
Hmm.
And then exactly like he told me like, yeah, I'm gonna connect someone, and that was you. And then I think it was really cool to talk about everything, actually, and I like those random random moments on tour where you met really cool people and you end up just you stay connected, and that's just amazing.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of crazy how those things happen. I'm sure you have a lot of experiences like that from traveling all over the world. So I want to talk a little bit about what really got you into music in the first place. Was there some type of influence or inspiration, or was it something where, you were growing up and as a kid you were like, I want to be a musician when I grow up?
I actually never had that I wanted to be a musician, but I was skateboarding for a long time. I started when I was, I think, like 7, and I skate. And so okay, so I was skateboarding and I was watching skate videos, and every skate film has music underneath it, and the music always gave me so much energy and made me want to skate. So I really felt a connection with the music. So I was at that time I was not really thinking about making music, but then one day my brother had a friend, and he came to our place one day, and he showed me Fruity Loops, which is the program I'm working with, and he showed me how to make a beat, and I was so fascinated with that I just really needed to try it myself, and that's how I got into music. And the skateboarding was really for me, for myself, it was really a sign, like, oh, I really feel like there's a connection with music.
Yeah, so skateboarding was really your, what's the right word? Your bridge into the music scene.
Yeah, and I used to listen to rock music, and then eventually I got into hip hop, and then that really resonated with me. So I stayed in the hip hop, and I explored that, and that's, yeah, I started making like hip hop beats, just simple hip hop beats. Yeah.
Was that under the artist name Moods, or was that under a different name?
Man, I really didn't have a name at all. I just made the music. I didn't even put it online. It was just for fun, and I always I always ask my brother, like, hey, listen to this, and it wasn't really good at all. It was really terrible, to be honest. But yeah, my brother always said, like, oh, it's okay, yeah, it's nice. But like 4 years later, he told me, like, well, it was really terrible. But I didn't want to discourage you to pursue the music thing.
Yeah, do you think that's all part of becoming a good musician?
Yeah, I do think that, but my background, I didn't know anything about music, and there was no lessons, so I really had to teach myself. And to this day, I never went to any school or had any lesson. I just all did it myself. So when you start off by doing that, it's really, yeah, it's like an open field. You don't know your way, and it's really hard to figure out all the things. And then, yeah, eventually you'll start watching tutorials on YouTube, and you'll figure things out. But you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's a really good lesson. It's one that I continually am reminded of, that you kind of have to not very good for a while before you get to be awesome at something.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the you just have to really love to do it, because that if you love it, I mean, if the output is not, it doesn't have the quality, but it's fun to do, then that's just it. I think if that's the foundation, then you're all good. It just takes time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of loving the process, and then the results will eventually take care of themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Has there been any other lessons you've learned in the process of getting started making beats on Fruity Loops with the hip hop beats to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I didn't care about like the technical part of producing music. It was just all fun, and so I mean, is that what you were asking? If the process has changed, or?
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking is what types of things have you learned along the way? Like, is has the process, like, how has, yeah, for one, how has the process changed, and then two, what other general lessons have you learned? Like, we covered one when we talked about the, you have to you have to kind of struggle for a while and put out some bad stuff until you get to put out good stuff, and then
Yeah.
also when you teach yourself, you're kind of just, you don't necessarily have a path when you start out. You start out with a pretty wide range, and then as you go, you kind of figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what I've learned is, I when I started making beats, I was sampling all the time. So I used older songs and just just tweak them, flip them, or chop them up, and then kind of make a beat out of that. But now I try to play everything myself. So that really changed a lot for me. So now I have to really think about chords and about progressions, arrangement, and yeah, it became way more serious. But I actually enjoy it a lot more because it's way more challenging. And the sampling part is really fun, but it's not really musical, I guess. It's more like a puzzle. You just because the song you're sampling is already really good, because or else you wouldn't sample it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think the thing that changed is I write my own music now.
Right. So let's talk about that process a little bit, because I'm
Yeah.
just curious, how long does it take from when you sit down the first time you open a new file, a new sound file, and you start working um, on a new song? How long does that process take from when you start to when you are ready to publish and push it out?
Oh, that really depends on what kind of song it is. Yeah, the I've actually the first single for my album. I just finished it like 2 weeks ago, and it actually took me 1 year to finish somehow. And it was not that I was sitting every day on the track, but some things just take a little bit more time, and sometimes I do like a remix in 1 day or 2 days, and then it's just finished. But sometimes it takes way longer.
Yeah, what do you think the difference is between the songs that take more time and the ones that you can just knock out right away?
I think the songs that I'm really struggling with, yeah, it's just more like it's not what I usually do, so it's harder to come up with creative, interesting musical stuff, I guess. So it just yeah, it's more challenging. So I have to think about a lot more stuff, uh,
Yeah,
or yeah, a lot more things.
a lot more experimentation and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, sometimes you're just stuck all the time, and you can't come up with anything nice or anything. So yeah, it just takes so much more time.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. The more it kind of pushes your, for lack of a better term, your like comfort zone or what you've already done before, the longer it takes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. That's
Cool.
it.
We're talking about your creative process a little bit. Is there anything that takes place really before you start mixing the beats? Like, do you do anything on paper, or is it mostly just you sit at the computer and you just experiment and try different things?
Yeah, I usually I just open up a new file and just I start jamming. But before that, I don't know. It's mainly I get inspiration from live or experiences or movies or other music. So before that, I'll make sure to I don't know, go out, go to a nice place or see some friends, and after that I'll open up the file, and it feels like I'm more creatively involved, or I don't know the right word, like I have more creative input. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think I kind of know what you're saying, and you tell me if I'm hitting the nail on the head or not. So you go out with your friends, or you go out to a place that gives you a certain emotion or feeling, and then when you get back to your workstation or your laptop or whatever it is, then you feel like you can almost channel that into your music.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it makes a real big difference. If I wake up and I'll go into it right away, it's not the same.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, because there's a school of thought that I'm very familiar with, that's like, you should try to get whatever it is that you're going to create, whatever it is that you're going to do, just do it first thing in the morning.
Okay.
But I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, because it's, especially if it's a creative process, it's like, you wake up and you kind of a blank slate in the morning, and maybe you don't have that inspiration or that feeling behind whatever it is that you're trying to make.
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange with music. For me, it is weird because I like to start in the evening or start around yeah, like 3 p.m. So, and then I like to work just in the night because somehow I feel like it works better for me. So I tried many times to see it as a normal job and wake up at 8 and then start at 9 and quit at 5, but somehow that doesn't feel right for music.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think it's not a one size fits all thing. So I'm, I think that's really interesting. There's a lot of, you know, some of the other folks I've interviewed tend to be a little bit more strict on their regimen. So I think it's really interesting that you're kind of on the opposite end of it. Because I think it just speaks to, it's not about like when you start, it's more or less like what you get done. Like, do you actually, like, what are you doing that works for you?
Yeah, so the thing is, it's weird with music because I can't force the creativity. So I just have to make sure that when I have to pick my right moments. So yeah, I'll just like I'll start around 3, and then before that I'll make sure to do a lot of other things, and hopefully I can channel that into the music. And yeah, it's weird because I don't want to treat it like a 9 to 5, because somehow it blocks up the creativity and I'll just get stuck in the end.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you do to really, increase your creativity? Like I know you said go places, but are you going out into like nature and taking a walk, and
I
like and whatnot?
Yeah, I do really enjoy nature, and although I live in Rotterdam, it's a quite a big city, so there's like 5 trees here. But yeah, it's you have a couple of parks, and you have like a botanic garden. I think that's what they call it. And I'll just go there and wander around a bit, and or I'll go to the you have this really beautiful bridge here. It's called the Erasmusbrug, and
Hmm.
it's a bridge that goes over the Maas. That's the river. They call it the Maas, and somehow that place really helps me with creativity. I really enjoy it,
Yeah.
and water somehow also really, I don't know why, but maybe because it's always moving, it does something for me, and it's always helpful with the music.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna try to say the bridge name. It sounded it sounded a little bit over my head. Uh,
Yeah, no problem. Erasmusbrug.
yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
should. If you're here, you should check it out.
Oh, totally. Well, just hearing you talk about it makes me want to add it to my list of places I'm gonna visit eventually. So,
Yeah,
uh,
you better. Yeah,
yeah,
it's not.
I'll try to get over and catch a show.
Yeah, man.
That'd be cool. Okay, so let's say somebody approaches you that they're looking to really get into becoming like getting into music or just getting started. What advice would you give them?
I think the main advice I would give them is just have patience and have a vision, or have like a you should have a direction you want to go into, and you should really enjoy it. Because if you don't enjoy it, and I know a lot of people who really, they're just starting with music and they want everything already, and you just have to build and build, and I mean, what we were talking about earlier, you have to feel like for the first 3 years you have to feel miserably to be able to make good music later.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Do you think 3 years is the right time frame before it
yeah,
starts to
I don't
show?
know. So it took me like 6 years. So, but that's because I didn't have any teachers or anything. So that's why I figured it out myself. So it took me a little bit longer.
Mhm.
But these days you have so many resources that can help you. So yeah, and I know a couple of people online that really in 1 year they started making amazing music. So it's all possible.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
yeah,
It's
but
prob
my advice is be patient and just keep having fun, because then it will happen eventually.
Yeah. The something I don't remember who said this to me, or maybe it was some like ancient wisdom that maybe I made up and credit to somebody smarter than me. But uh,
Yeah.
it's the more fun you have making something, or the more you elicit whatever that emotion is that you want. So I write. I don't create music.
Yeah.
But whenever I'm feeling more of that emotion that I want to elicit into the reader, like if it's, let's say it's fun, the more fun I'm having
Yeah.
writing it, the more fun people are going to have reading it.
Yeah, I think your input reflects on your output. So
Yeah.
I mean, does that make sense? I think Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. You said. I think the way you said it made a little more sense than the way I did. So we're just gonna go with your way.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And I mean, maybe that's for you with writing as well. When I make when I make music and I'm really enjoying it, it's like it's actually like sleeping. I wake up 6 hours later, not literally wake up, but I get out of my project, and it was like time is not relevant at all. It's just you're just in the music and you're creating, and it's everything falls away from you, and just you and the music, and that's when you know you're enjoying it.
Yeah. Totally. I can definitely relate to that when, so my writing process is a little bit similar to your music creation. Uh,
Okay.
I tend to like prefer to write all of my stuff on paper, away from technology, away from other people, away from distractions. Um,
Yeah.
because I don't know, I just can't seem to focus when there's so much other stuff going on, and I can't seem to like get in that headspace. But so what you're saying is totally resonating with me. I want to ask you about your song "Love Is Real." So
Yeah.
that's one of the songs I have on my playlist. So thanks for making that. It's been enjoyable to listen to. Uh, what was your inspiration behind that song? Like what types of emotion were you feeling or where were you at when you wrote that?
I made that song when I was still living at my dad's place. It's I think it's like 6 years old now.
Oh wow.
Was Yeah, it's really, and it's like that's my most successful track, and I'm really grateful for it. But it was really, I think it was Christmas, and I was at home, and the family was there, and I don't know, the vibe was just right, and I was really happy with life. And then I started making music, and then somehow that track rolled out of that, and yeah, that was it. And then I didn't have any like label deal, or I didn't have. I got like a YouTube channel and a small SoundCloud profile, so
Hmm.
I just posted it online, and from there on, it really started growing, and it started. I don't know what happened, but it really got out of hand for that track.
Yeah,
It's
because
really
it's an
amazing.
awesome track, man.
Yeah,
I'll
thanks.
I'll put a link to that in the show notes. Maybe we can get you a few more thousand streams or something like that out of it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah. The other song I wanted to ask you about is "How I Feel."
Yeah,
So that's really like the same question, because that's those are two very different. Like to me, they just feel like two very different songs.
yeah,
So
they are quite.
where did that one come from?
How I feel is in collaboration with the singer from the UK called Sam Wills,
Hmm.
um, and it's from my latest EP. And I think the difference between those songs is Love Is Real contains samples, because at that time I was still sampling. And the track with Sam Wills, How I Feel, I actually wrote it myself, and I it took way much longer than Love Is Real,
Hmm.
because you have to write it, you have to stay in contact with the singer, you have to record a demo, you have to re-record everything, and just it's so much more work. But then it's funny that you see like Love Is Real, it gets way more views. So it doesn't really matter how much time you put in it. Somehow some tracks just resonate with the people, and more than others. But I don't know. It's strange.
Yeah. No, I enjoy both of them, so I appreciate you taking the time to make them both. If someone was looking to work on a collaboration with an artist, you kind of talked about the process of doing it. What
Yeah.
advice or what tips would you have for them as they're working with someone else to drop a new song?
You mean if somebody wants to work with vocalists, or
Um, well, either with vocalists or let's say somebody approached you and wanted to do a song with you. What advice would you have to them? Like if they're like, hey, I wanna contact Moods and do a collaboration.
yeah, I think you just have to make sure you have some demos ready, and you have to make sure those demos are really good. And if like in my situation, if I want to work with the singer that I'm really a fan of, or that I really enjoy the music of, I'll just make sure I got like 3 demos, and those demos need to be really good, and we'll send them over. Like my management makes sure they get in contact with their management, and so on. So you never know, because we send out a lot of stuff to many singers, but not everybody responds, or just, I don't know. You have to make sure the things that you send out have to be really good.
Yeah. Are there certain types of things you look for in other musicians that you want to collaborate with?
I guess some kind of uniqueness. I'm also really enjoying more edgy singers, have like a really raw voice. So yeah, I think it's mainly uniqueness in what they do. If it's original, yeah.
Right. Something that's a little bit. Trying to think of the right word I'm looking I'm looking for. Something that's a little bit out of the box.
Yeah, but still, it can be out of the box, but still is how do you say, what's the more, it's still accessible for people to listen to. It's not too weird.
Right. So it has to be different, but not too weird.
Yeah. I don't know the like yeah, I don't know the right word for that, but
Yeah. Maybe it's just being a unique but talented artist, like somebody who's not trying to imitate someone else, but making their own stuff and they still sound good. Something like that.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And it's also I think because there are so many musicians these days, so there's a lot of people copying each other, and so if someone is original, I already appreciate them, because it's really it's not many people are not original anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think that's so. I don't know, man. It's whenever I sit down to write anything, and if I feel like I'm copying someone else, it just doesn't feel the same to me as if for example, or in comparison to when I'm writing like something that I just made up in my head, and I'm not like really trying to copy anybody else. I'm just like I'm just gonna go completely off the rails with this, and wherever I want it to go.
Yeah,
It just feels much more authentic.
yeah, yeah. I think you just have to. I mean, I listen to a lot of music, so unconsciously I'll pick up things or I'll use it, but not on purpose. But still, always try to form it, or yeah, like try to make it something original.
Right, yeah.
For me, I don't know if I don't know all the music in the world, so it's hard to say. But
Wait, you don't know all the music in the world?
yeah, no, no, I don't know.
What's coming up next for Moods? You just said you released a EP. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that was the with the Sam Wills. That was my latest project, but that's already, I think, like 7 or 8 months ago.
Oh,
So
okay. So what's
so
coming up next for you?
so right now I'm working on an album, and I just finished the first single. So it's right now we're doing all the promo, and I think it's gonna be released around September. So yeah, that's the first thing that is coming up, and I've also got a remix. I think like the 8th of August. That's pretty soon already. Yeah, that's tomorrow actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so a new remix will be premiered tomorrow.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I'll make sure and get all that stuff in the show notes and get that out because I'm sure it's gonna be pretty awesome, just like the rest of your stuff.
I hope you like it, man, and the people out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now that we know that you got a new album coming out, you got the remix, is there any other, pieces of advice that you would give to those people who want to become a full-time musician? We talked about a lot of stuff. I'm just seeing if there's any other little tidbits of advice you have for them.
I guess you have to be what I said earlier. You have to be patient, and you have to make sure that you end up with the right people.
Hmm.
I didn't have management until I was making music for 10 years. And I mean, I could do it all myself until that point, because when I was when I was 10 years into making music, like more, I started working with other parties, and there was contracts involved. And I actually met my manager in Rotterdam here,
Mm-hmm.
so he helped me with that. And so I think you have to pick the right moment when you have to start looking for management. And so you don't want to, you want to be smart with the business part as well,
Yeah.
besides the creative part.
How do you decide on what is a good management team versus the other ones out there?
I think a good manager understands your music or your vision, and he will think with you, and with his knowledge in the music industry, he will be able to set you up with other artists and will be able to push you forward, or push you in the right direction. And I'm really blessed with my management, because they really they really, it's electric hustle. They help me, and they know a lot of people, so they also set me up for the tour, for my US tour. They hooked me up with a couple of gigs there. And so I think good management is someone who, or a manager who understands your music and knows which direction to pull you in. Or
Yeah. With a lot of the music industry kind of going towards being independent or just going through like crowdsourcing, and you chose to go with management. What led you to go with management over, crowdsourcing your music, or just running as like an independent artist?
because for me it was like the parts where contracts are involved, and I know I try to read them, but it's still, I don't know, it was also new to me, because I was never involved in that part of the music. I was always just creatively doing my thing, but never business wise. So for me it really was a learning point about the business part.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I also needed someone who has like the networks, and because I'm in Holland, I live in the Netherlands, and it's just so far away from the whole the industry in let's say America, where it's happening big time.
Right.
So I really needed someone who could push me to the next level, or else I would be ending up just living in Rotterdam and just staying here as well.
Right.
So for me, it was really important to have someone who was already, internationally in the business.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a ton of sense. When you're talking about touring, what's your experience been like, traveling all over the world and playing all these shows?
Man, every show is something else. It's first of all, it's really the most amazing thing to travel and play shows. I mean, I started DJing like 3 years ago, so I haven't been a DJ for a long time. But man, it's been like the first shows where I was so nervous, but I really like it and I enjoy it a lot. And it's just amazing to travel and see the world, and also like you get treated like a king. So it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, that's got to be an interesting experience on its own.
Yeah, it's strange, because I played like really big festivals in Romania as well. It's a festival called Untold Festival, and when I got there was like a really nice hotel right underneath a hill, and it was just so beautiful. And then when I get home, it's just the contrast between living the life as an artist on tour and home is so big, because like at home it's just really, I try to live like minimalistic, or is that a term?
It is a term. Yep.
Yeah. So not too much, and I don't I don't want like a big home. It's just I'm easily comfortable. And then when you're on tour, it's just a whole other part where you're just eating in really expensive places, and you have a really nice hotel room, and
Right.
so that's funny. Yeah, that's something I know. I hope I never get used to it. Let's put it that way.
Sounds like there's a little bit of a contrast between the two. Uh,
Yeah.
what types of things have you learned from traveling to all these different places and meeting all these people?
Um, I think it's touring can be really exhausting. So what I've learned for myself is that I really need to catch my sleep, or I really need to think about myself first. So if I'm on tour, if I feel tired, I'll try to sleep, and I'll try to eat well, and just yeah. Man, where am I going with this?
Something about making sure you sleep and eat well.
Yeah, that's for me, and for the other part is I'll be open to meet anyone, or I'll try, to connect people I already know in that city. So it's really I'll try to do both as much, but I don't wanna lose myself into the tour or as an artist. I heard so many stories about artists having burnouts because they don't care about their health on tour.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me that's really important. I really think I want to stay healthy.
Yeah. It's a tough lesson that I have had to learn is that if you don't have your health, you really can't do anything else. So, you got to take care of yourself first, it seems like.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, wow. Yeah, it's really just important if you're weak and you don't feel right and you have to play a show, it won't be the same as if you had a good sleep and
Right.
it's just different.
Yeah, I can totally respect that. Is there anything else so it sounds like you take care of yourself first, and then second, you try to get out and meet new people or introduce
Yeah.
people that you've already met. Is there anything else that you've done or learned or or seen on your travels so far?
Yeah, well, I actually had this I I try to do research before I go somewhere, because before I went to the US, I went to Morocco one time. I went to Marrakesh, and I didn't do any research, and so I learned my lesson there because I could not use my phone, and man, it was really horrible. And man, this is a long story, by the way, but I think it's maybe not the right moment to tell the whole story. But that's when I learned, like, before you go somewhere, do research. What is the currency there, and do you have to get another chip for your phone? Stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like that there might be a lot of pre-planning that has to go in before you go to all these different places.
Yeah, it is, and normally when I arrive at a place as a DJ, mostly I get a pickup and things are arranged, and this time it wasn't. So that's when I knew, like, oh man, I should have done this research myself first before I got here. So
Right.
so
Yeah.
yeah, that was a hard lesson I've learned.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite places that come to mind that you've been to?
Yeah, I really must say I love New York City. I've been there twice now. So on the first tour I did in America, that was the first time I've been in New York, and the whole tour I was just on my own. So yeah, I was in New York and I was feeling at home right away, because normally when I'm touring on my own, and I don't know, it can get lonely sometimes, but when I was in New York, I was just walking the streets and it all felt so right. So I think New York is one of my favorite places so far.
Yeah, what makes it so different than the other places you've been to?
I guess the people, and also it reminds me of Rotterdam in some way. And I honestly don't know why. Maybe because of yeah, I honestly don't know. It's just a combination of the people and the way it's built. It just reminds me of home somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. You did say that Iowa City was like right up there, number two, something like that, right?
Yeah, I really enjoyed Iowa City. It's so way different than New York.
Right. I know. Mostly I'm just giving you a hard time, so.
Oh, yeah, but you can enjoy places in a different way. And Iowa City was had like more like a village kind of feel to it. Is it a village? Is that too small or?
No, no, no. Yeah, I would say that, well, I don't know how big a village is in Europe, but I don't know. I don't even know if we call places villages anymore here. So
Maybe some medieval, I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, a medieval sized city.
Man, yeah, I don't know. It's more like a city, right?
Like a small
But
city. Yep.
yeah, it felt like a smaller city, but I really enjoyed the energy there. It was really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any tips for
Mm.
anybody that's looking to start traveling or going to be touring, other than maybe do your homework and be prepared?
Man, make sure you yeah, just I don't I guess that's it, man. If you want to see some nice places there, just do the research before you go, and make sure you got everything planned out. So that's mainly it. I don't know, or and just also for me musically, it's nice to see if there's any artists that live around there, or any singers, or people I can connect with, or I can do some networking with.
Yeah, I think that's it. That makes a lot of sense that if you, especially if you're going to be going somewhere and maybe there's an opportunity to meet someone that you want to collaborate with, doing that homework ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's because when I was in New York for the second time, I went with my management, and they went to SoundCloud and Spotify. So if I think it's nice if you're an artist and you go places, just check out what's there, if there's any studios and artists and all that stuff.
Cool. Well, that kind of wraps up the main part of the interview, and now we'll be moving into more of the like the rapid fire questions that we ask all of our guests. So we kind of covered this a little bit, where how you get a later start to your day. What does your daily routine look like? Is it like, wake up, once you wake up, you have a cup of coffee and write down or journal a few things? What's your day look like?
I wake up at 9 or 10 mostly, and I need the coffee, so that's the first thing I'll do. I'll make some coffee, and I'll eat some breakfast and do some mailing, or do the mails. I mean, and after that I go to the gym. I really, yeah, because my work is really behind the desk all the time, so I think it's nice to yeah, to go to the gym and do some sporting, and there's also a swimming pool, so I can exercise. And after that I just dive again into the mills, and after that I'll just go into music and see whatever what needs to be done that day. I'll try to do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll work till 12 in till midnight, and sometimes I work till 3 a.m. or yeah, that it depends on my like creative yeah, how creative I am at that moment.
Yeah. Do you have a time of day that you find yourself being more creative than others?
Yeah, at night somehow I feel like at night the world is finally asleep, and I can do my thing. So, and it really is somehow that really works for me. If it's quiet outside and I can hear it, yeah, it's nice when it's dark, and the whole street is silent, and I can just do the music.
Yeah, it almost sounds like it's like calming for like calming outside to allow your mind to create a little more clearly.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it feels just more in the right place at night.
Yeah. I want to ask about your gym routine a little bit, because that's, we do interview some fitness people on the podcast. So when you go to the gym, is there a certain type of workout you do? Are you mostly doing like cardio? Are you doing like heavy lifting? What's that look like for you?
I'll do cardio and heavy lifting both. Like lately, I've been really into heavy lifting. Um, but I just make sure I'll exercise till I almost can't walk. That sounds really horrible, by the way. But no, I'll just make sure I'll really put in work, and then after that I'll dive into the swimming pool, and there's also a sauna, so I'll just relax a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm new to the fitness thing, so I've always been into sports, but the whole fitness part is new for me, so I don't really have like a well planned out routine, but
Okay.
it's just whatever makes me yeah. tired, I guess.
Yeah. Do you find that that process of going to the gym and exercising helps with the creative process?
Yeah, it does because I can clear my head in the gym. I can really put all my energy uh, into lifting or whatever. And when I leave, I don't know. It feels like I'm like there's not as much pressure on my shoulders when I walked in. So yeah, it's different. I like it.
Yeah. Kind of helps with the stress relief a little bit.
Yeah, I used to have a little bit of stress because financially it was it's not easy as an artist. So it was also nice for me to exercise and yeah, just to
Yeah.
focus on that instead of focus on the things that are not going well at that moment.
Right. Do you mind if we dig into that for a second? Because I think that there's probably some artists out there who are, you know, in the process. Maybe they just jumped into full time and they
Yeah.
are struggling financially. What advice would you have to them as they're, you know, kind of pushing through that part of the process?
Yeah, I guess when you're financially, as an artist, when you're in a tough spot, you just have to be smart about it. What I did is I created a YouTube channel and I did some advertisement on there as well. So I got all these small bits of money coming in from different places. And I just started building on that. And that really helped me. And also, what's really the main thing, of course, is just make sure that you put out good music. And sometimes, yeah, I've been stressed, but I still make sure that I was doing the music. That stress was not gonna get to my head and was gonna say like, oh, it's never gonna work. You always have to be. You have to just work for it, and that's something my dad taught me, I guess, because he's a real hard worker.
Yeah.
And you don't have to, yeah, you just never give up. And if you feel like this is the thing for you, you just have to go for it. And trust me, it will change and things will come eventually. And sometimes it will take a long time, but yeah, it will happen.
Yeah. Sounds like you just kind of have to believe that, you know, this is the right path for you and that it's going to work out.
Yeah, yeah, and if people really love your music and you get a lot of positive feedback from people, then you know you're onto something good, I guess. So if you just keep on doing that, it will expand and things will start happening.
Yeah. I think that's pretty helpful advice for the struggling musicians or
Yeah,
artists, or
struggling artists, yeah.
it could
Enough
be,
of them. I think there are many of them, so yeah.
yeah, and it could be. I mean, I think that advice could apply to other fields too, like startups, or you know, with I don't know. Whenever you're pursuing something and you're early on and
Yeah.
the finances aren't there yet, I think that's really helpful advice.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so.
Do you have a favorite or most impactful book, movie? Maybe it's a song that you can think of.
Um yeah, man, music is really a tough one because I listen to so much music. So I have many songs that are really important for me. But I think when I have to choose a movie, I think the Shawshank Redemption is really
Oh, really?
one of my favorites, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I don't know if that has anything to do with music at all, but I really just enjoy that movie.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I actually made a beat out of that movie.
No. Did you really?
Yeah, I did sample the Shawshank Redemption. Yeah.
Oh my God. Can you,
That's like this is like 7 years ago. I just remembered it, by the way.
dude,
Uh,
you should send that over. I'll throw it up in the show notes so people can check it out.
yeah, yeah, I'll send it over. Yeah, that's actually I just thought about it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I think music really. I listen to ambient as well, like really strange, atmospheric stuff, and I listen to music that is really far from my music. So stuff like that really inspires me
Yeah.
uh, because it's so different.
Yeah, like
Uh, I
you kind of
guess
you kind of draw from it a little bit for your stuff.
yeah, because it's so different, and it would show me like new ways to approach kind of, or new ways to approach things in a song or
Hmm.
whatever it is actually.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, there's one movie I forgot about. I really love Blade Runner.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from I think it's from '82. It's really, yeah, it's the old one. I think there's a new one coming out soon,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just because the music is so amazing in that film,
Right.
and it was produced by Vangelis, and I think he was the first. He was working with a lot of synthesizers at that point, and he made it sound so unique, and it fits so well with the movie. So somehow that always, and I sampled that one as well, by the way.
Yeah.
If a movie is that good, I'll try to sample it and make it into into a beat or anything.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah.
So Blade Runner and Shawshank Redemption. Those, I feel like those are two
Yes.
totally different movies, but I think that that's awesome.
Yeah, those are totally different, but somehow the music and the screen, or the visual part works so well together.
Hmm.
And I think for me that's a really important thing.
Yeah.
So that's, it's not that, yeah, it can be the two different, or two, like totally different movies, but if the music and the visuals work really well, I'm just really, it's nice. Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah. You kind of covered this a little bit with the daily routine question, but
Yeah.
what do you think the most important lesson you learned from your parents is?
Um, yeah, my dad is really has been my biggest teacher, I think, and at least on the work part. So my dad, yeah, my youth has been, I've like, my parents got divorced when I was 7, and eventually my mom moved to Canada, so the situation between my parents was a bit tough, and my dad basically took care of us till we were, I think, 18. And then when I moved out, I that's when I started my own thing. So and in that time, my dad really showed me how to, he had a lot of struggles, and but he kept on working hard, and he took care of me and my brother, and he really just taught me a lot about, you have to work hard for it, and you cannot give up. And somehow that really stuck to me always. Also when I do music, so
Yeah.
because of him, I feel the need to work hard, and that's something he taught me.
Right. It definitely seems like it's paying off for you right now. So
Yeah,
I'm excited to see where that work ethic takes you in the future.
yeah, man. I hope it does well for me.
What is something that you learned this week?
Well, I learned things about music. So yeah, I basically learned how to mix better. I don't know if I'm always busy with music, and I'm always looking for new ways to improve my craft. So this week I bought some new plugins, and some emulations of compressors, and saturation. That's the stuff you use in music. And I don't know if this is really interesting, but I learned how to, yeah, make my mix better, basically.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I would ask more questions about that, but I don't actually understand how mixing works, so I'll I'll just
Just leave
uh,
it at that. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So Nick, I want to say thank you for showing up on the formula this week. How would somebody get a hold of you or find you on the internet if they want to check out your stuff?
So yeah, you can find me on SoundCloud. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Make sure. I think if you type in moods, you'll find me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap. Big thanks for Nick for taking the time to show up on this episode of The Formula today. If you want to check out any of Mood's music, go ahead and look him up on Facebook. That's Moods, Moods, or on Spotify, same thing, Moods. He actually recently just dropped a new track that is just awesome. It's called Truth, and I think that you're absolutely going to love it. So go ahead and check that out on Spotify or on Facebook, and let Nick know what you think of his music. On another note, if you would like to receive any type of blog post, book reviews, ebooks, ramblings in the form of any type of digital content, go ahead and head over to helixacademy.co and check out our newsletter. Until next time, I'm Trevor Carlson, and I look forward to you tuning in next week. This episode of The Formula was produced by Helix Academy, edited by Luke Krieger, and the music was provided by the artists known as Moods. Make sure and check him out on Facebook or Spotify. That's MOODS.